Part 2. Listen, okay, now, I'm not going to condemn the union there, but what do you say to New Brunswickers that this is just like the labor movement wants something, in exchange? What do you say about that?
Yeah, well, I would say to them that this is not the labor movement. I happen to work in the labor movement, but the consideration of the coalition is much broader. It's in the community. It's everybody. When you say it's a labor movement, what did the labor movement have to gain by MB Power being sold?
It was good for the labor movement to get involved because it's pretty hard to organize a protest via Facebook, especially when they're all anonymous. Right. But the labor movement, thank God, they moved in.
Well, and that's a great point, Charles, because when you think of what the labor movement has been doing for 150 years in this province, it's organizing people. We've organized people in the workplace to create a better balance in the workplace. It only makes sense when you look at the community. Who else organizes large numbers of people? Who else? Political parties don't. They organize funding. Unions organize people. And we've had examples where the labor movement in the province has seen the light and saying, hey, let's take our skills out into the community and organize. And that's a good thing.
Oh yes, you did well.
This is not a partisan fight. This is about organizing New Brunswickers to understand that we have democratic rights in this province that aren't being fulfilled by our politicians. And it's time for us. We simply can't blame the politicians. We have to say, and as we look in the mirror, we have to take responsibility. It's too easy to say, I don't vote because I don't trust politicians. Well, whose fault is that?
But what do you say do you know what a bureaucrat calls a politician?
You're going to tell me.
Temporary help.
Right. They're casual.
That's it. The politician is casual workers. So the decision has already been made before the politician arrives here.
Yeah, and that within here, within the good government principles, we ask, for example, what will your party do to ensure that politicians and civil servants act in a meaningful, honest, open, and responsible way.
And you asking too much?
We got to start. All we ask them now, are you breathing? Truly. All we ask them now is when they knock on the door, what do we ask them when they ask? We don't ask them anything.
No.
That's the third piece, and I'll show you the example. We have door knockers. We have 50,000 door knockers.
Oh, really?
That are going out. We've got, I just sent a memo this afternoon saying that we have 18,000 out in the mail right now. And the idea is that if you stay in a hotel and says, do not disturb or clean my room, this is now saying questions to ask your candidate when they knock on your door. Because think of it. Candidates come to your door and say, I want your support. And oftentimes, we're not prepared to say, well, what do I get in exchange for that? Shouldn't it be you're asking me for something? Shouldn't I get something in return? So we're asking them, are you going to be honest? Oh, people have said to me, Tom, you're crazy. Asking a politician that? No, we're crazy to believe that we can't ask the politician that. And I know this is simple stuff. It's so basic, but they've taken us so far away that we can't rely on our elected people to be honest.
It is different because, like me myself, since I'm on social assistant, I'm not proud of it, but that's the way it is. And I chase politicians with the camera, asking them questions. They're not used to that.
No.
No, this is a total different ballgame.
Who are they accountable to? Who?
Nobody.
No, they come to us and ask us for the right and the privilege to represent us.
And vote themselves a $6 million raise in their pension.
Yeah, that's a little bit hard to take, isn't it? And and I've said to you before, Charles, there's nothing wrong with fair compensation. It's how they did it.
Yeah.
You talked to Tom Taylor, who organized the toll busters in 1999. He said there's nothing wrong with tolls. It's how they did it.
Yeah.
You talk to a lot of people, well, maybe MB Power should have been sold, but it's how they did it. And that's what this is about, because they tell us one thing and then turn around. And it's not just the Liberals. We've got Ora Emulsion, we've got the pension and MLA severance package that the Conservatives have their fingerprints on it too. So all we're trying to do with the coalition, non-partisan, We asked the parties, give us your submissions on these pieces, on these topics, and we're reporting back to New Brunswickers. And what we're saying to them is...
Yeah, what are you going to say when you're going to go around there?
Well, what we're going to say to New Brunswickers is that, you know, if these values are important to you, like fairness and equality and openness and accountable and inclusive, if these values are important, shouldn't you vote for a party that subscribes to them? So you're going to be able to, any New Brunswickers is going to be able to say, well, geez, what? For example, what do the parties think of my right to vote? And we've got a whole section on that, on electoral reform, making your vote count.
I always say if you don't vote, you got to keep your mouth shut for this.
Well, you don't have the right to complain. That's right. And they're not making it easy for people to vote, and they haven't. You know, there's a lot of things that are very, very difficult for people to be able to register to vote. But when you think of the principle of which parties are looking to help New Brunswickers have a say? Well, right now we have the lowest turnout ever predicted for this election. I mean, that's given the trend, the sloping trend. We've asked the parties. You know, the Liberals are saying first past the post works for us. We don't want to change it. You think, well, don't want to change it. Everyone's really upset. You don't want to change it? No, because it does work. My God, they didn't win the popular vote, but they won more seats than the Conservatives. There's something wrong with the system. The Conservatives, you know, for the first two report cards, they were saying, yeah, they gave us some nice empty words, hollow words, in the right direction. But in their third submission in August, they did come and say, we will revisit the legislative democracy commission's report, which says we need to change how we vote in this province. We need to change the voting mechanism. The Liberals, the Greens, and the People's Alliance are all saying we need to change this, and they're going to campaign on it. So when you're sitting there as a New Brunswicker saying, my democratic tool is to vote, who's making it easier for me to vote? And who's making it easier, you know, when you think of it, to have my vote count? You know, right now we have a system that a party can win 40% of the votes, have 60% of the seats, and have 100% of the power. Well, if they only get 40% of the vote, what about the other 60% of New Brunswickers? They're shut out. So we think this is a useful point for that discussion to start happening in New Brunswick, and it's about voting to allow New Brunswickers to feel that it means something when they vote.
And what's your website again? We're almost done here.
Yeah, www.democracyfornb.com.
I'm going to come here again. We're going to sit down the day before the election, or the day of the election, and we're going to get a prediction from you.
I'll be ready to do that.
We'll find out we're going to find out who knows more, the blogger or the labor leader. Thanks a lot, Tom.
Okay, thanks, Charles. Always a pleasure.